What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Happy Sunday. It is football Sunday, so make sure everybody goes out and enjoys this Sunday and goes and watches some good football. Unfortunately, the Detroit Lions are not playing this Sunday as they are on their bye week, so at least they can't lose this weekend. I guess that's a positive. But, as the Detroit Lions aren't playing, I obviously can't talk about a game because they're not playing in one. So instead, today, I wanted to go over the rookie class. This class of rookies, these 6 or 7 guys that the Detroit Lions just a few months ago selected to pull from the college level up to the NFL level in hopes of them having impacts on their team and hopes of them leading to Detroit Lions victories. So today I'm going to be going over every rookie the Detroit Lions selected, their impact on the team, what they've done so far, whether they were a good pick, a bad pick so far, and just kind of go over their first month as NFL pros. Before we do get into the video, if you are new to the channel and are enjoying this Detroit Lions content, consider liking the videos and subscribing to the channel. It only takes 2 seconds out of your day and it helps me push this channel out to more Lions fans and more football fans such as yourselves. So if you could do that, I would be greatly appreciative for it. But with all that being said, let's get into talking about this rookie class and how good it actually was now that we've seen them play on the field. Now, starting off with the number 3 overall selection, Mr. Jeff Okudah. Jeff Okudah has had a very up and down start to his NFL career, as Jeff Okudah in his first 3 games, because he did miss week 1, so Jeff Okudah has only played in 3 games so far. Did miss the first week, but has been healthy for the other 3. Now in those 3 games, Jeff Okudah has made 2 starts. Jeff Okudah has been targeted 20 times as an NFL veteran, allowed 15 receptions for a 75% completion percentage, and he has also allowed 225 yards through the air. Not very good when you look at it. Those stats don't look particularly good as a rookie, but you have to remember he is a rookie, and in those 2 games that he did allow a majority of those yards, he was going against Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams combination, as well as a DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray combination. So, Jeff Okudah was thrown to the fire very early and definitely got burnt early in his career, but Jeff Okudah has also made some very impactful plays for the Detroit Lions. Jeff Okudah has not allowed a single touchdown yet, so he's allowed a lot of yards, but hasn't allowed a score yet in the NFL, which is obviously good to see. If you're not allowing scores, you can't lose the football game, right? He's also had 1 interception on the season, had a big interception against Kyler Murray to really help the Detroit Lions win that game. Gave the Lions offense an extra possession. They went down, they got a field goal, I believe, out of that possession, and that ended up being a big play, ended up being a big turning point in that football game for them. Jeff Okudah has also had 1 pass defended, 2 tackles for loss, including a huge hit stick on DeAndre Hopkins, as well as 18 tackles on the season. So as I said, Jeff Okudah was thrown into the fire very early. The Detroit Lions had a lot of injury concerns early, with Trufant going down, with Coleman going down, and just, being very injury riddled early in this NFL season. But Jeff Okudah stepped up. He was thrown into the fire, got burnt early against DeAndre Hopkins, got burnt early against Davante Adams, but definitely got his shots and definitely made his impactful plays. And, I'm only expecting Jeff Okudah to go from here. I'm only expecting him to develop, gain more confidence, be better and better every single week. And Jeff Okudah is already starting to show those flashes of being a true lockdown cornerback and being one of the best Ohio State products to ever come out. Now, moving on to our second overall pick, DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia. DeAndre Swift was selected with the 35th overall pick in this past draft, and so far in his career, he's been okay. DeAndre Swift so far has 12 rushing attempts for 42 yards and a touchdown on the ground, averaging 3.5 yards a carry. He also has he's also had 13 receptions off 16 targets for 124 yards and a touchdown on top of that as well. So, if you look at that, DeAndre Swift, when he's being used, when he's getting targeted, when he's getting the carries, he's making the most out of it, right? As a rookie, getting 3.5 yards average on, 12 carries, that's not horrible for a rookie, especially when you're not being used a whole lot. You're not really being used in the run game a whole lot. And then obviously having 13 receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown is also very, very solid through 4 games of football. Now, DeAndre Swift for the Lions has been a very versatile weapon. He's kind of taken over that J.D. McKissic, Theo Riddick role, which a lot of people thought was going to go to Jason Huntley, who we will talk about later. A lot of people thought that was going to go to Jason Huntley. That's really been DeAndre Swift's role, and I just don't think DeAndre Swift is being used enough. I think when he has been used, he's been very, very solid for the Lions. We saw against the New Orleans Saints, he averaged 5 yards a carry and had a receiving touchdown in that game. We saw against the Green Bay Packers, I believe he had 5 receptions for like 80-something yards and had a pretty good game through the air. When he's a focal point of the offense, when he is being used a lot, he is a very, very special running back. He's a very special running back talent, but the Lions aren't using him enough. And I think that's something that the Lions organization needs to look at during this bye week, is how can we integrate DeAndre Swift more? How can we integrate all of these weapons to get them more touches, to get them more production, and to make it so that our offense isn't as predictable? Because, if you look at what DeAndre Swift has done with his touches, he's been very productive, but he hasn't gotten enough touches. Like in week 3, he didn't have a single carry. In week 1, he really wasn't used enough either. Really wasn't used a lot. I believe he only had like 3 carries in that game. He's not getting enough carries in the games. He's not being given enough opportunity to make a major impact. And I think that's something the Lions organization needs to take a look at. How can we use our second round running back more effectively? How can we use him more so that he can have a bigger impact and make a bigger impact on this team and help us lead to Detroit Lions victories? I think he's a very good talent. I think he's a very special running back prospect, and I think that in his future, he has a very bright future in the city of Detroit. And I think that, he had a couple struggles early, obviously dropping the game-winning touchdown pass in Detroit versus Chicago, but, he's playing very well when he's getting the opportunity, and the Lions coaching staff needs to make an effort to get him the ball more. Moving on to our third pick, Julian Oquar, selected at the 67th overall pick. He has not done a whole lot for the Lions, as he's actually yet to record a single stat. Not a tackle, not an assisted tackle, not a pressure, nothing is going on so far with Julian Oquar. However, you look at that and you say, well, then that's a wasted third round pick. He's only played in 25 snaps so far for the Lions. He's not being used a whole lot either. We talk about DeAndre Swift not being used a lot. Julian Oquar, throughout 4 games, has only played in 25 snaps for this Lions team, and, really hasn't had a lot of opportunity to make a play. And I've seen him get close, right, on the Mitch Trubisky where they strip sacked him and had a huge loss. He was right there. Julian Oquar was right there. Almost had that fumble recovery. Did force Trubisky to back up into that sack. If you watch it, Mitch Trubisky was actually stepping up into the pocket. Julian Oquar did a spin move back inside, which forced Trubisky to take a step back and forced him into pressure. So that was pretty good from Julian. On the Reggie Ragland sack against New Orleans, Julian Oquar was right there as well. So Julian Oquar is almost there. Julian Oquar is getting there on a couple of plays here and there, but he's just a step behind some of his teammates. He's just a step behind some of the other guys on the field, and he's getting very close to making some plays, but he's just not been able to make a play yet for the Lions. He did actually have a sack in week 1 versus the Chicago Bears, but it was called back because of a false start penalty. So he did technically get a sack in that game, but it didn't count on the stat sheet because it was a penalty, and it took the Bears back a couple yards instead of just giving him the sack. So that's unfortunate for him on the stat sheet, but a lot of people think Julian Oquar is a bust so far. He hasn't been used enough, and 2, he is just, he's made an impact. He's made a slight impact on the team so far. Hasn't been as big as I'd like to see, and I think that there's a way to get him more involved as well. Hint, move him to jack linebacker where a lot of fans want him to be. Move him to that jack linebacker position full-time. Let him make an impact. Let him use his athletic ability. Let your third-round pick go out and make plays for you, and just, sit Christian Jones on the bench. We're not getting pass rush anyway, so what's the harm in changing up some stuff? I think that it is a very realistic possibility that we do see Julian Oquar shifted into that jack role as well. I think that he fits that role much better than Christian Jones right now, and I think that, with the Lions' lack of pressure, with their very severe lack in, pass rush as a whole, I think there's a good chance that the Detroit Lions start rotating some guys around. I think that there's a good chance that Julian Oquar maybe gets a role at that jack position. He gets a shot. Maybe Jared Davis gets a shot, but, I think Julian Oquar, if he does get a shot at that jack linebacker position as a full-time starter, I think he can start making plays. I think he can start getting sacks. I think he can start using his very, very natural athletically. I think he can use his very athletically gifted, abilities. I think he can just use his athleticism and his technique to get around the edge, to get some sacks, to get some pressure. And I think that even just that one move, moving Julian Oquar to a full-time jack position and letting him play in front of Christian Jones for a game or two, I think you're going to see a huge improvement in the pass rush, and I think you're going to see Julian Oquar step up if he is starting to be used in the correct position. Now moving on to the second third-round pick by the Detroit Lions, Mr. Jonah Jackson, the offensive guard out of the Ohio State University. Now, Jonah Jackson so far for the Detroit Lions has been phenomenal. He has probably been the Detroit Lions' best rookie from the class, or at least the most impactful rookie so far. Now, Jonah Jackson, throughout his first 4 games of his NFL career, has played in 256 snaps for the Detroit Lions, giving up 2 penalties and 2 sacks on the year. Now, he has played at both left and right guard on the season, so he is a very versatile guy. He's moved back and forth. I believe he's played 2 games at both positions, and he has played very well at both. You know, it's not like he moved over and all of a sudden was trash at the left guard. Like, he's been very solid at both positions, and he has really been locking down one of those guard spots for the Detroit Lions, and he looks to be the best Detroit Lions selection out of this class. There's not really a whole lot to say outside that. He's been phenomenal. He's been locking down the center of that offensive line with Frank Ragnow, and you know, he has really been a bright spot for this rookie class that so far either has been kind of lacking from, you know, the hype that it was getting in the preseason, or, you know, just isn't getting enough opportunity to make the plays that we expected these guys to make. So far, the Detroit Lions class, in my opinion, has been kind of lackluster. Either, you know, some of the big name players aren't getting enough playing time, they're just not playing enough, they're not playing well enough. So, you know, this class has been very underwhelming, but Jonah Jackson has been probably the brightest spot of this draft class, as he has made several really big blocks, has made several very good plays, and has, for the most part, kept Stafford pretty upright and kept Stafford pretty comfortable in the pocket. Now, looking at our 4th round selection in Logan Stenberg, he has had 0 snaps at the offensive line. You know, he was a very developmental offensive lineman when we selected him. I still think he can grow into something very special. I still think that, you know, his athletic ability and his mindset, his tenacity on the field can definitely translate to the NFL and can definitely become a huge and major part of this offensive line in the future. But Logan Stenberg still has problems with penalties. He still has some stuff to work on. Obviously, that's why he's not playing. But I think that he can work on it. I think he can definitely get better, and I think that there is a really, really good possibility that by the end of the season, you know, maybe not the next week or two, but I think by the end of the season, later parts of the season, I think we could see Jonah Jackson getting a shot at the offensive line, getting a shot as a starter, just to see how he plays out, especially if the season is lost, especially if we are like at 7, 8, 9 losses on the season. I think there's a good shot that we see Logan Stenberg step in later in the season, just to show what he can do, just to show his ability, and just to, you know, see what they have in the 4th round selection in Logan Stenberg. Again, I think he can develop into something very, very special, but as of right now, he has not played a single starting snap for the Lions in the first month of his pro career. Now, Quintez Cephus was the 5th round selection by the Detroit Lions, selected at the 166th spot in the 2020 NFL Draft. Now, Quintez Cephus was targeted 13 times in the first month of the season, had 6 receptions for 97 yards and 0 touchdowns. Now, you look at that and you say, well, you know, half the targets that went to him were not caught. But some of those targets weren't catchable. You know, there was one in the end zone that was just overthrown by Stafford. There were a couple that he could have caught for sure and dropped them. So I would say Quintez Cephus has been okay when he's been given opportunity. There wasn't was very hyped up out of training camp, was having a very phenomenal training camp when he was there, has made some plays for sure for the Detroit Lions this year, but, has kind of been buried on the depth chart one behind guys like Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, Amendola, Hall, Cephus, Agnew, stuff like that. He's been kind of buried on the depth chart, has definitely got some opportunities, but hasn't really, shined, hasn't really been a huge wide receiver, hasn't really been a huge playmaker. I wasn't expecting Quintez Cephus to come out and be a number one wide receiver right away. I think he's, again, kind of a developmental wide receiver, but he's definitely shown some flashes as well. He's definitely had some big catches across the middle, definitely had some big plays of his own, so I think he's shown the potential as well, kind of like, some of the other guys that we've talked about so far. Now, Jason Huntley was the other 5th round selection by the Detroit Lions. He unfortunately didn't end up making the team, which sucks because I think he would have been a very good running back for this team. I think he would have been a very good change of pace, home run hitter kind of running back, very good gadget player. He was cut. He was signed by the Eagles. I don't know what he's doing with the Eagles right now. I haven't really checked up on Jason Huntley so far, but I still think we should have kept him over Ty Johnson, especially since we just cut Ty Johnson a few days ago or a week ago or whatever it was. It was a wasted pick. I was defending the Lions for cutting him, for him not making the active roster, because I thought they could hide him on the practice squad. It's a wasted pick. They wasted that pick. Quandre Diggs basically got traded for nothing at this point. It was a bad pick. If you're going to take a guy in that spot, if he has to make the team, especially if you traded away your starting safety to get that pick, you have to pick a guy that's going to make the team. And, the fact that there were a lot of really good defensive linemen on the board still, there were a lot of really good wide receivers on the board still, there were a lot of very impactful players on the board still, and you took Jason Huntley, who didn't end up making the team. That makes you look bad as an organization. That makes you look bad as a draft draft pick person, and it was a wasted pick. It sucks, but it is what it is. Then we move on to the 6th round selection in John Penicilli. Now, John Penicilli to me has been kind of a very surprising, impactful player. He was selected at the 197th overall spot in the 2020 NFL draft, and so far for the Detroit Lions, he has totaled 6 tackles and 1 tackle for loss. To me, those stats don't look very impressive, but if you watch his tape, if you watch what he's been doing in the limited snaps he has received, he has been very impressive. He's been fighting off a lot of blocks. He's been getting a lot of really good penetration in the run game, and although he's not going to show up on the stat sheet a lot, although he's not going to be the most flashy player on the football team, he, along with Danny Shelton, have really been, solid run defenders in the interior of that defensive line, and, I think that John Penicilli has been the steal of the draft for the Lions so far. This is a guy that, a lot of people thought was just a flyer pick, a guy that, 6th round pick, whatever, it doesn't matter, but John Penicilli has stepped up. John Penicilli has had, pretty much carved out a decent role for himself in this Detroit Lions defense, and he has made an impact when he has been called upon, and I think that John Penicilli has a very, very bright future in the city of Detroit. I think this was the steal of the draft for the Lions so far, and I think that he has a very, very bright future ahead of him, especially if he can continue to develop and continue to work behind Danny Shelton and be that second really good run stopper on the Lions defensive line. Jshawn Cornell was selected in the 7th round of the NFL draft by the Lions. He was their last pick, selected at the 200 and whatever pick. He was placed on IR early in the training camp process, so his season is over. He had an Achilles injury, I believe, which ended his season before it even began, so that is unfortunate for him. I look forward to seeing him next year in his sophomore campaign. Hopefully he can stay healthy through training camp. Hopefully he can make it to an NFL season, and hopefully he can make an impact like a lot of people were thinking he could this season. Now, that was the Detroit Lions rookie draft class. As a whole, I think it was a solid draft class. A lot of people thought this was Bob Quinn's best draft class by far. I wouldn't say that's the case anymore, based on what we've seen on the field. Jeff Okudah has made his plays, but has also been beat. DeAndre Swift, again, has made his plays, but has not been used enough. Julian Oquar is not being used at all, pretty much. Jonah Jackson has been a very bright spot, a very, very good player for the Lions, and you can chalk that one up to another 3rd round selection that is going to be a star on the Lions. Logan Stenberg hasn't played yet. Quintez Cephus has been okay when he's played. Huntley didn't make the team. Penicilli has been very impressive throughout the early months and the early stages of his career. And obviously, Jshawn Cornell was injured, which Bob Quinn has no control over injuries. So, for the most part, I think this class is okay. I'd give it like a B minus B kind of range. I think that it definitely has a lot of potential. I think it definitely has a lot of, upside. And I think a lot of these players, Jeff Okudah, DeAndre Swift, Jonah Jackson, Quintez Cephus, John Penicilli, even Julian Oquar, I think they've all showed flashes and they've shown some really good things. But I just, if your rookie class needs to develop to be good, if your rookie class needs to develop and needs more than their rookie season to be impactful, then it wasn't a super good rookie class and they didn't perform as rookies. So I'd give this class a B, B minus right now based on how they've performed in the first month of their career. Obviously, everything can change after the bye. Obviously, they can move positions. They can start playing guys more. They can start playing guys less. Things are going to change for sure, and I'm sure that my opinion will change throughout the remainder of the season. But so far, I think this draft class has been solid for the Lions. I think they've gotten a lot of very, very impactful players, and I think that this rookie class is one that the Detroit Lions can lean on in the near future in their sophomore and junior seasons as a draft class that is going to be very impactful and a draft class that is going to help them win a lot of football games in the future. So with all that being said, that is all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and had an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. If there is more Lions news before tomorrow, then I will obviously make a video letting everybody know. But if there is no Lions news, then that is all I got for you guys today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all tomorrow with more Lions content. Bye, guys.